Hey, what's up everyone? How's it going? Thanks for joining us again at the House of Salt, the show where we talk about video games, game design, and the games industry as a whole. I'm Bao, and today's topic is kind of a tricky one, but also really important, particularly in relationship to teamwork and communication, which we spoke about in the past, which is the importance of confidence and the dangers of ego. All right, let's take an ego trip. So this is definitely going to be another one of those episodes where the message is pretty much universal. So regardless of which discipline you're working on, it would still be a good idea to listen in on and pick up some of the details, like particularly if you're working with a team. All right, we good? Let's do it. So in a previous episode, we talked about the importance of showing confidence during your interview and how it can really help with others being more receptive to you and your ideas. This actually still holds true during the normal development process as well. Like if you come to the table with an idea and you're not able to present it with confidence, that can actually make it more difficult to instill confidence in the ones you're actually presenting the idea to. So from their perspective, how are they supposed to get behind an idea if the person presenting it seems kind of lukewarm about it themselves? Like, it's not to say the idea isn't good, but it's the perception that can be created by not having or projecting confidence when you're presenting the idea. But to be honest, a bit of this will actually come with more experience, familiarity with what you're actually doing, and as well as having more experience working with the team themselves. So trust me, presenting an idea to a room full of people that are pretty much just ready to tear it apart feels pretty much like a masochistic effort. And it can definitely be pretty soul-crushing at times, like having to go through that process. To the point where some folks will actually, they sometimes won't even bother to submit ideas for fear of them or the idea getting torn apart. This is another point that we're gonna touch on again in the future, as it's not only just a mindset that you need to prepare yourself for and become accustomed to, but also to understand how important this is to the overall process and kind of realizing how awesome it can truly be when used properly. One big part of the whole confidence equation that people sometimes kind of mix up or overlook is that while having confidence is really important, it also requires effort to earn it. So what do I mean by that? Well, I'll give you an example. So when you're presenting your ideas to someone, whether it's a single person or even a group, you have to be ready for feedback, answering questions, as well as being able to support or defend the idea. And this is all just a natural part of the design process as a whole. So being able to listen to that feedback, answer those questions and concerns, even to the point of having alternatives to your idea, like backup plans pretty much, will show that you've spent time and effort on the idea in order to really flesh it out and bulletproof it. But if someone were to go into that same position or that same situation with an idea that was only partially thought out, it'll show. And not only is it liable to get torn up at that point, but people in that particular position will often get extra defensive about it and upset, which can hurt their pride as well as their own confidence in their ideas. And honestly, it may even affect the group's confidence in that person's ability to generate good and well thought ideas as well. So thoroughly considering and bulletproofing an idea is a great way to become instilled with confidence associated with it. I mean, you've done the research and you know what you're talking about. Like, you should have confidence in it. Like, you've done the work and you've earned it. while confidence is a great and a really important thing for you to work on and maintain, you kind of need to be careful that you don't take it too far and allow that confidence to kind of turn into arrogance or ego. So in the past, I mentioned how communication can really be a disaster when it's not handled properly. Well, when you're working with a team, an out of control ego can be just as disastrous to your communication as well as your working relationship with others on the team. I'll give you an example. So people with large egos tend to kind of dismiss relevant questions, feedback, opinions, or general input from others if it doesn't fall in line with their own line of thinking. And this is particularly true if it actually goes directly against their ideas as well. So that being said, different opinions are an important, if not crucial aspect of a collaborative environment. However, for it to be truly collaborative, or a team effort, you really need to be able to listen to others and consider their perspective. I mean, this not only allows you the opportunity to potentially bulletproof your own ideas by addressing their concerns, but it also shows additional insight from their different perspective. And honestly, that could actually open up additional opportunities that you hadn't really been considering. So one different side of ego that can manifest is in people not wanting to share their ideas or opinions. This can partially be due to wanting to keep the ideas for themselves, or maybe to keep people from stealing their ideas. But more often than not, it's actually done to prevent others from shooting holes in their ideas. This also happens a lot during creative meetings as well, where someone will come up and they'll present an idea, but when it comes time for others to offer feedback or ask questions, sometimes people will just sit quietly and hold back their opinions for the very same reasons, which honestly can be really just frustrating across the board. So when people don't take the opportunity to express concerns or opinions, they're not only just cutting themselves out of the collaborative process, but it can also lead to them losing touch or connection with the design itself, or for people assuming that they're on board when they're not, which can even lead towards even possible resentment, them having resentment towards the overall design, or even possibly another designer. And just all in all, this is just a bad situation. So as a quick side note, some of the best collaborative environments comes from everyone involved being allowed the opportunity to kind of voice concerns, or express ideas or opinions, and actually having them be considered and addressed. Granted, the extent to which they may be addressed will vary, but allowing everybody the opportunity to contribute their voice to the design process and be actually considered actually goes a long way towards building confidence among the team as well as buy-in. So, and to be truly honest here, being able to call out ideas when they need to be is a great way to keep people honest in general. Of course you don't have to be a dick about it, but being upfront, honest, and constructive with your criticism or feedback is a great way to let everyone involved in the process, lets them understand that they can also express themselves, in the same way. And also to realize that, they also may be potentially receiving the same type of feedback or constructive criticism as well. I know you know the saying, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And this is actually most definitely relevant to those with big egos, especially in a group setting. So when someone like this presents an opinion or an idea or something, and it gets countered or shot down, that big ego quickly turns into a big weight around their neck as it comes crashing down. And when someone with an ego gets taken down a peg, they'll often turn around and lash at others in response. Sometimes it's a defensive thing where they're lashing out at people or just picking on others in general. But all in all, they start to create tension among the team. So another prominent example that I've seen has been when someone has worked on either like a popular title or they work at a big company and because of it, they sometimes run the risk of having that big ego. While it's true they may have earned the confidence that comes with either shipping a great title or, working at an awesome company, honestly, there's no need to take it too far and really go full on ego mode. This particular type of ego can actually be pretty bad for your personal growth as a designer. As these type of people run into situations where they start to dismiss, ideas, feedback, opinions, or even other people in general. I mean, even if your product was received well or your company is doing great, you should still be striving for growth and improvement. Not really cruising on those previous victories. Just remember that perfection is a road and not a destination. There's this concept or kind of a theory known as memento mori, which translates to remember death. The idea of which is to remind you that regardless of your current position or your achievements, you're still human, just like everyone else. We're all here walking our own paths at our own pace and doing what we can to get by. Honestly, it can be kind of a tricky balance, but all in all, just try to do your best to keep your head on straight. Don't let your ego get in the way of your learning and growth as a designer. All right, folks, that's just going to about wrap this one up. Thanks for coming along on this ego trip. Our next episode actually is going to follow along pretty closely behind this one in context because we're talking about collaboration. All right, it's going to be a fun time. We'll see you then.